everyone, I'm Jay.
And I'm Sean.
And we watch movies.
That's what we do.
Yes. So today, instead of a movie review, we've actually got some movie news. Movie news has been super slow lately.
Not much has been happening.
Not in a long time, actually. We have not done very many of these updates. So finally, we've got a couple of things to tell you about. Number one, The Batman.
Oh, yes.
The Batman. Did you see that teaser trailer? Oh boy.
Yeah, it looks good.
We're excited.
Looks good.
So they were shooting again. It was just 7 weeks into filming when they had to shut down in March due to COVID-19, which is not a lot for a Batman movie. But the UK was actually one of the first places who was back up and running, and so they were shooting there. And had been for a while when they had to shut down again because someone in the crew got the COVID-19. It's so crazy. Like, these movies have a lot of protocols in place to keep the set safe.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot of money, especially to have to shut down because one person gets an infection. That is like millions of dollars a day sometimes to the studio when they've already been so delayed. It turns out it is Batman himself, Robert Pattinson, who is sick. So there's still 3 months left of material to shoot. Obviously, he is irreplaceable to that shoot. They cannot really go on without him. So that leaves a lot of people sitting around waiting for him to get over this. But for a lot of people, it's not just about a 2-week quarantine. If you are actually sick, it could be months of a painful hacking cough, and that's if you're lucky.
Yep.
So 2 weeks at a minimum, but who knows how long it takes him to actually recover. And I think if you're playing Batman, you gotta be feeling good and strong.
Yes you do.
And if you need anyone to tell you about how much it takes out of a guy to have this, you can ask Dwayne Johnson, because he has recently let us know that he and his family had COVID-19. So his whole house got sick, his wife and his 2 young daughters. The kids were basically fine. It hardly did anything to them. And that is classically how it goes with COVID-19. And gosh, I hope it stays that way. But he and his wife were suffering and did for over a month, and they're still not completely better. So this thing really can wallop you.
We're getting that. A lot of those reports of people saying this is the worst illness they've ever had.
Yeah, well, I know Tom Hanks, he was down for months, and he was one of the first celebrities we knew were sick. So it really, it's a lot harder in adults, and so we don't know how long it takes anyone to recover because everyone has been different. There isn't one path of illness to follow in this, which is almost more annoying because you don't really know what you can count on when you get it or what your specific symptoms will be because it's not across the board for everyone.
That's right.
So another big movie that resumed filming is Jurassic World Dominion, I think is the new one. So that one was also filming at it was filming at Pinewood Studios, which is in the UK. So that's why some of these movies were able to get back to work earlier. So they had started up again in June, but you may have heard that Chris Pratt's wife had a baby. So I thought, how disappointing is it? They have done their family planning around his film schedule, and then because everything shut down, he had to go back to work right in her late pregnancy in June. So he was able to leave the set in time to get there for the baby, who was born on August 10th, a daughter named Lila Maria Schwarzenegger Pratt. So he was able to get there for it and to spend a few weeks. Again, now the production has to shut down. And there's a juggling act there because, he wants to be with his poor wife who's just given birth and, hey, a brand new family member. That's kind of cool. But he's signed a contract and made a commitment, and he has to get back to work. So to allow him to have gone back and forth, because as you know, most people traveling have to quarantine for 2 weeks. But Universal had the British government deem actors essential workers. Ooh, gosh. So that came with a little bonus lining someone's pockets.
Yeah.
So they could come and go without quarantining.
Gotcha.
A little bit unfair, isn't it? So Jurassic World, as it stands, is due to come out in June of 2021.
We'll see.
We'll see. Also a little bit sketchy, the Venice Film Festival is going on and people are there attending it.
Ooh.
Again, Italy has allowed travel in for work. Sure, I guess doing press and red carpets is work. But it's a lot of people flying in from different parts of the world, a lot of hot spots. Italy, who is barely recovered from their first wave, you would think that they would be a little more careful.
Yeah.
They do love their tradition, so they would be very loath to cancel their beloved film festival, one we have attended and adored. Of course, it's in Venice. Hello.
Yeah, can't
Italy
lose.
is beautiful as long as it's not infectious.
Yeah, and Venice is hard to picture being really safe because it's such a small area.
It is.
And if you want to get anywhere, you have to get in a boat, and those things are always packed. So
at least for the plebes.
For the normies.
Yes.
Not for people that have their own boats driving around. But that doesn't feel good to have that going on.
Mm-hmm. So Tilda Swinton was there, and she walked the red carpet with like a masquerade mask, like a gold. I'm pretty sure not medically approved whatsoever. Cate Blanchett is there. Style icon Cate Blanchett in her, absolutely gorgeous gowns and a blue surgical disposable mask. And I was a little disappointed in that. Even I have some fancy masks and I don't even leave my house. So I thought she could have done a little better, News from the Berlin Film Festival. It is adopting a gender-neutral performance award. So it really wants to help correct that imbalance. It wants to see parity on sets and in studios. But yes, instead of having actor and actress, as we always do, divide it, they're just going to have gender neutral awards, which sounds like such a nice thing. And yet, I'm not sure that's fair to do until we are telling as many female stories. Because we aren't. Like 70% of movies are about men. So that means 70% of good roles are about men. And you know how many roles for women are written by men? Which means they're not that good of roles for women. So it's not fair. The stories that we are telling and the characters we are creating are not fair. So I think to split the awards at this point may be premature.
So we're not there yet.
I don't think we are. I think we have lots of work to do before we get to that point. And the Oscars may be working towards it because we have just found out that they have a new inclusivity they're trying this out. It's not going to be in place until 2024. Those are the first films that will have to do this in order to qualify for Best Picture. All of the other awards stay as they are. This is just for Best Picture. You will have to comply with Standard A, which is about the cast. So you will either have to have one lead or significant supporting character. Again, how are we going to define these things? From an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Or, if you can't do that, or 30% of the minor roles have to be either from an underrepresented group, which includes disabled, queer, female, and then racial and ethnic. 30% of minor roles. This is just
not very many.
It's not. Or if you couldn't do that either, the main story should revolve around one of those underrepresented groups. So they have 3 chances just to get that first one checkmarked. And if you are a movie in the 21st century that can't already check that off,
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, how is that even possible? Yes.
I also don't know how you don't meet the second one where you have to have 30% of underrepresented, and somehow we're going to have a story about underrepresented people. Like, how does that?
Well, often a white savior movie will be like, we adopted one black kid who barely has a say in all of this, but aren't we wonderful white people for doing it and making him live in our community? And
so that would qualify?
Well, no, it wouldn't, because that's not 30%. You're wondering
but
how.
But isn't it about the?
Well, you're right. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the movies that we feel weird about these days, like Green Book winning, they pass this test.
Yeah.
So how are we really helping? I don't know. Then there's standard B. So again, you only have to do one of these. You have to have either 2 department heads, just 2 department heads. So like score or writing or makeup, 2 department heads have to be from an underrepresented group, and one of them has to be from an underrepresented race or ethnicity. Or if you couldn't do that, because
that's tough,
you have to have at least 6 others that are. Or if you couldn't do that, then at least 30% of your crew that nobody even ever sees has to be. So,
lots of options here.
So standard C, you have to have a paid internship or apprenticeship for people who are underrepresented, and you have to have training opportunities for those people below the line. And then at the studio level, you have to have multiple studio executives who are from these underrepresented groups. So, good for them for making some kind of push. I guess some kind of push is better than nothing.
Yes.
It is hard to see what change this will actually bring.
Well, of those things, I think the last one is the most important.
Yes.
To have people getting experience and to have requirement of management at the studio.
Decision makers.
Yeah.
That's it, exactly.
That's how change happens.
That's right, from the top down. But it's also, as you said, important to be allowing people the opportunities, because if you won't hire anyone without experience, you need to be providing the experience somewhere.
It's so hard to get your foot in the door if you don't have that connection.
Exactly. And obviously the connection happens at a white man kind of level. That's the people in the room. So if you want to break in, you need someone to just crack open that door.
Yeah. So that's good to change that and to do more than just pay lip service to it. I'm not sure they're there, but with the Academy, it's kind of a miracle that they did anything because it is such a political, anachronistic body. So this is progress of a sort, even if you can say, how can anyone not meet these? Well,
if you're not meeting that way, but if they had to make a rule, that means a lot of people aren't making it. And they gave them a few years to adjust.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? We're phasing this in, so you have 5 years to go hire one minority at your studio.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Also they let us know that they are extending this year's deadline for eligibility to the end of February, so February 28th. Which means the ceremony will not take place until the spring. It's going to be April 25th.
But that makes sense when everything has been delayed.
It does, but it also assumes that nothing further will be delayed. And that...
Well, that's questionable.
Yeah.
But there are movies that have come out this year.
There are.
So it's hard to...
I would love to see the Oscars with just these movies.
It would be interesting.
Woo.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Woo. John Cena for the win. It would be interesting. Of course, they have also tweaked their eligibility criteria a little bit this year because obviously studio releases theatrical releases have not been possible for everyone.
Yep.
And they were already having to change a little bit because of Netflix and now Amazon. Those are pretty heavy hitters coming onto the scene, but they don't do theatrics because their whole raison d'etre is for their own streaming platforms.
Yeah.
So times are a-changing. They were changing 25 years ago, so the Academy is just hearing about it now. And we've given them a 5-year warning, so change or die, and a lot of them will. So, yeah. That's the movie news that we got for you today. Exciting stuff, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Conversation pieces.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye.
Bye.